Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast and another episode of Infection Critical. This week we're looking at the January, first sort of like results of January, just pre-LVO. So LVO hasn't happened yet, so obviously expect a new episode next week. But we've had some great results for Vanguard this week, and let's crack on into it. So before we get in though, do remember, if you like the content, leave a like, leave a comment, and a subscribe if you're not. Consider becoming a Plague Marine. Plague Marine members get access to our Discord, giveaways, Plague Surgery streams, all the extra good stuff. So check it out if you're interested, and if not, don't worry about it. But please, at least leave a like and a comment. It really helps versus YouTube. It's a bit of a monster. So, first up, what is Infection Critical? Infection Critical is a bi-weekly video, usually, so once every 2 weeks we tend to do it, where we look at the best Vanguard performing list of the past 2 weeks. We look at the list that they take, the units you take, and basically also look at some of the matchups. Sometimes we get 5-0, sometimes we get event wins, sometimes we don't, we look at 4-1. So that's basically what it is though, and this is a rolling series, so expect to see it after LVO, of course. So, first up this week, we've got Nathan Roberts. So Nathan Roberts comes in with a full-blown, undefeated 5-0. 5 wins, 0 losses at the Nottingham GT. This is the super major of the UK TC series. 388 player event. Managed to take 11th place, missing out on the top cut just because of points overall scored. But still, didn't lose a single game. Absolutely smashed it. So excellent work to Nathan Roberts. Let's get into his list. So, quite an interesting list, this one. It is Plague Company, but it's not your standard Plague Companies. It is Plague Storm, so it's Plague Iron Storm. It's all the tanks. So we've got Mortarion leading the charge as the only character in this army. So he kind of is a vehicle himself because he's got the T12, the 2-up, the 4-up invulnerable. He's really tough to kill, and he can also give out these nice invulns to the nearby parking lot that he can obviously be surrounded with. But also he's a nice pushing piece because he's fairly durable. Giving reroll ones to wound to the rest of this list is going to be really good, but we'll come back to that once we've gone through the full list. So, backing him up, we've got 2 squads of 10 cultists. So, cultists are obviously just great scoring units. They can move out, they can score some actions. Plus, let's be honest, you need something to hold your home objective as well. So, cultists do the job perfectly. Now, backing this up, we have the main armoured spearhead. 3 Predator Destructors, all with las cannon sponsons. 2 Predator Annihilators, which did get a recent buff that they can now reroll the damage roll versus monsters and vehicles, not just with damage rolls of 1. So that's quite nice. Nice little change of like, it's a quality of life change. Doesn't really make it amazing, but it's better than nothing. And in this list, obviously, we're just trying to take as many hulls as we can. Predator Annihilators are still 130 points, same as our Destructors. For what it is, it's still a really cheap hull with a decent amount of firepower on it. But you can always see he prefers the Destructor because he took 3 of them as opposed to the 2 Annihilators. But it's just a great way to get some more las cannons in the list against the sort of vehicle heavy meta we're seeing at the moment. Then we've got 3 bloat drones, all rocking space, because if you're going to run this many Predators, you still need to have a way to deal with hordes and the nice Overwatch potential, plus 90-point vehicles that are as tough as they are in the Death Guard with the T9, 10 wounds, 3-up save, 5 invulnerable. It gives you like trading pieces. A lot of these sort of heavy tank lists, like a lot of the tanks clock in at like 150-ish points. But in this, you have access to 90-point demon engines that can be really useful for skirmishing, making your opponent take bad trades, because if your opponent has to expose an anti-tank unit to kill a spitter, a plague drone spitter, a bloat drone, sorry, and then you can retaliate against that with like the Annihilators, for example, and pick up their anti-tank, they're going to run out of anti-tank at a faster rate than you're going to run out of tanks. Okay? Now, coming in on the end of this, we've got 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. All of them are still here. PBCs are expensive, but they work in this list because they take the angle of being a bulldozer. They aren't sat at home. They're being aggressive with them. They're using them to force trades. They've got the flamethrowers on them, so again, they're not going to get bogged down by infantry just trapped up. They can keep firing, but they're making the most out of that defensive profile. The toughness 10, the 2-up save, the 5-up invulnerable. The 2-up save being the main thing here, because 2-up in covers basically giving you a 1-up save, which is really, really good. And once again, PBCs, like bloat drones, can already be a bit of a pain in the ass to kill. PBCs very rarely get one-rounded by a single model. Normally, to kill a PBC, you're having to expose 2 to 3 anti-tank units at once that are going to fire at it and kill it. And again, if we think about that, if an opponent has to expose 3 or 2 or 3 Gladiator Lancers, whatever it is, to shoot at a PBC and kill it, guaranteed, you can then respond to that with all of your Predators, which will then kill both of the Lancers, and then the opponent's anti-tankers just took an absolute nosedive for the price of one PBC, and that can allow you to then bully with your stat line, because this is a skew list, this is a heavy vehicle skew list, and because again, opponents don't tend to bring that much anti-tank, they bring decent, but once they start running out, it's going to be really hard, especially with Mortarion still alive, to bring these units down. And then bringing up the rear, we've got a War Dog Carnivore, so nice, fast-moving, high OC, melee punch. If anyone wants to send something scary towards you, he can either respond to it. We talk about this where they play almost like a linebacker in American football, where you sit at the back and you can react to where you need to go. Or worst case scenario, this guy's great in reserves. Shove him in reserves, rapid ingress him on. He comes on from a board edge. He moves 14, charges something with a reroll, punches it, kills it, flips an objective. Brilliant. Who cares what happens to him after that? It's a really cool list. Probably taking, I'm going to imagine, -1 save in pretty much every game. And with Mortarion in the middle of these tanks, giving them reroll 1s to wound, or just cover, for example, it's really hard for opponents to, like, deal with, because you've got the fire base of the Predators around Morty, the PBCs and the Bloatrons are pushing, being aggressive, taking space, doing actions, and again, to kill PBC is not the easiest task. It's not an invulnerable tanker, and I'm not saying that, but it's not the easiest to kill, especially from shooting, because again, you have the cover for the 1-up save. So a lot of times they can absorb more firepower than you may think, especially if you put Cloud of Flies on them for the -1 to be hit. It can really help them out. And then just being able to retaliate with so much armor, because you think that this is a tank spam list, however, it still has 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, 15 units in a tank spam list. 15! That's a lot of units still to deal with. So it's not even going to struggle for actions that much, because you're going to have cultists, you got the drones to do it, and if you need to, you can even have a Predator do it. And the War Dog can also do it if it's not going to be charging, because it's not got any guns, and you're not going to, you know, ooh, the Havoc launcher, ooh. But let's not forget the indirect, actually. We mentioned the Havoc launcher there. This has some indirect, so it's pretty good for, once again, those little annoying units that are going to be holding an objective from behind a wall. The PBCs can fire at those guys with Boil Blight up. If you've got a Bloat Drone nearby to give them -1 save and Boil Blight, the PBCs actually do quite a bit of work when they're AP2 and ignoring cover. So, and potentially AP3 if you really want to spend an extra command point. So picking up stuff like scout units on infiltrating things that are like infantry behind walls is not the worst thing in the world. But again, the main thing is this just absolute wall of armor coming towards you. And especially if you have the turn where you've got like the 3 Plague Burst Crawlers exposed and the Mortarion, that's a lot of 2-up save, high toughness to deal with. It's a really cool list. I'm hoping to get Nathan on. I really want to talk to him about this list and how he played it. But obviously, it works. So it's really cool to see. And again, such a unique and different build from what we've seen in the past. Absolutely goes away from Death Shroud, goes away from infantry, leans into the skew of vehicles being so good in 10th, and absolutely pulled it off. So excellent work to Nathan Roberts there. Have a quick look at what he faced. So the first round he went against Custodes Shield Host. If I'm Custodes and I'm seeing 3 Predator Destructors and all these like anti-infantry 2-up weapons against me, I'm not looking forward to that game. So I'll probably smash that one. Tyranid's Invasion Fleet, you can actually duel like T-Fex and stuff here, because again, T-Fex could generally bounce off the 5-up invulnerables or PBCs, and then you get to reply to it with this list. Bear in mind, is packing, 12 las cannons? So that's a lot of las cannons that can fire out there. Grey Knights, once again, the interesting thing about the Grey Knights matchup is the Nemesis Dread Knights, which kind of like carry that faction a lot at the moment, they actually get wrecked by like auto cannon Predators, because if you get Boil Blight off for a second and you have the you got the -1 save contagion on them, you can take them to a 4-up save with your auto cannons, and each one's wounding them on 3s, and we at strength 9, because they're -1 toughness, you wound them on 3s. AP2 ignores cover because you've Boil Blighted it, so in the contagion range. So you put them on 4-ups, and each one's going to be a flat 3 damage, and you can reroll 1s from Mortarion, and you can ignore any modifiers to that. So you can actually rip through them at lightning fast pace if they expose themselves, and they don't have the best guns to kill these 2-up armor save vehicles, so it's really good into that matchup. GSC Outlander Claw, this one I'm a bit unsure on. I don't know about Outlander Claw that much, but I imagine, again, GSC has a lot of infantry. I know Outlander's more like bikes and stuff, but the bikes definitely don't like being shot by PBC mortars. They probably still don't like being sprayed by the sprays, because they're all strength 6 still. And any vehicles that they have, like rock grinders and anything like that, the Predators are going to absolutely have a field day, because GSC vehicles are not high toughness, like T8, I think. So they're going to absolutely get ripped apart the second that -1 save connects with the Predators, which is really cool. And Morty's probably a bit of a pain in the ass to bring down as well. And then last round, we've got Space Wolves Champions of Rust. again, they're really cool to see Space Wolves in the final sort of round as well, going for undefeated. So well done to that Space Wolf player. Usually would be quite an easy matchup for Death Guard. We like the melee matchups, but I was a bit worried in this one with him being pushed early and being pressured, being a tank list that maybe he just gets, you know, tied up, smashed down, rushed down. But apparently not. Apparently, I had the Epic Flail guys who were streaming the event go and check on the table. Early on, looked like Nathan was behind, but some managed to pull it out the back in the end. And I guess it's just the absolute efficiency of, okay, cool, you can charge and, you know, kill all my spitter drones, but now the Predators start just ripping you apart, and like your damage just starts falling through a roof. And once your damage starts nosediving, the durability skew of the big tough tank list really starts to like skyrocket the value, and you become almost unkillable towards the end of the game. But yeah, excellent work from Nathan. Congratulations on the 5-0, mate. And a really, really cool list. So if you like your tanks, there's a list for you. So next up, we got Adam Summers-Vine. So 4 wins, 0 losses in a draw. But he managed to take first place at this event. The RGB Dungeon and K TTC, a 20-player 5-round event. With WTC scoring as well, so hence the draw. And this is rocking Flyblown host, which is awesome to see. So well done for that. It's almost an identical copy of my list. There is a small change that he has brought a second Tallyman by dropping a Mythic Blight Hauler, which is something I've already been considering, is dropping one of my haulers to get in another unit of... I wanted to get in another unit of Plague Bearers in my list, so I've actually dropped a hauler, dropped the Beast and put a Noxious Blightbringer in, plus 10 Plague Bearers, whereas he's gone for an extra Tallyman and a Blightbringer for the points. Really makes him want to sure he gets his CP. But he's rocking Mortarion, Typhus, 2 Sorcerer and Terminator armor, Lord of Contagion with the Insectile Myrmitations, that's the reroll ones to wound in Contagion range. The Noxious Blightbringer for the techie -3 leadership test that you can do. You can force in the fight phase. Really cool. 2 Tallyman, really wants his CP. 2 squads of 6 Death Shroud Terminators, 1 squad of 3 Death Shroud Terminators, usually joined by Lord of Contagion. The 2 big 6-man bricks will probably have Sorcerers in. 3 squads of 20 Poxwalkers, because Poxwalkers are amazing in Flyblown host. 2 Mythic Blight Haulers for access to the stratagem and a little bit of shooting. 1 Beast of Nurgle, 1 squad of Nurglings, and a squad of Plague Bearers, which bring sticky objectives to the list. So this is a very much a threat, sort of like Overlord Swarm. Get onto your opponent's objectives, don't let them score, and just keep their points down and low while you keep maximising yours every turn. So he went against Grey Knights, the Warp, the new Warp fellas. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Warp something host or whatever. So did actually 20-0'd them. So I guess he just got on top of them and absolutely ripped them apart. I'm quite interested to know how that one actually went to get a 20-0 especially. Eldari, who are just going to probably struggle to deal with the absolute amount of bodies that this list brings. Ultramarines Ironstorms actually can be scary, but once again, once this list starts tagging stuff in close combat, that can be the end of it, which is nice to see. Astro Militar and Bridge Spearhead, which again, that was the draw, and an understandable draw. It's a very, very hard matchup. And then Demons Demonic Incursion, which he managed to smash there, which probably just taking over the board, not letting the demons teleport where they want, and keeping them at bay. But yeah, if you're interested in trying this list out, then check out the event recap we had recently. I took Flyblown host to an RTT, managed to get a perfect 300 with it, despite me being kind of negative going in, which is kind of funny. But if you want sort of an idea how it plays, go check out that for a more in-depth one. But as a TLDR, the idea is kind of you push 2 objectives at once. You kind of ignore the middle, and then when your opponent tries to defend one of them, because they'll usually pick the poison on one of them, you reinforce that with a second wave of, like, you know, Mortarion or Deep Striking Terminators. And then the other flank starts to either converse onto the middle or pass into your opponent's deployment zone. It's a very cool list. It's very different to play from Plague Company. It requires a very different mindset. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. You really have to focus on scoring and denying score, not so much killing. Like, you'll charge dumb things if it affects the scoreboard over killing stuff. It's very, very different, but it's definitely worth trying at least once or twice to just see if it tickles your fancy. It might not. It tickled my fancy. Ha, puns. Not a pun. An analogy? I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, excellent work there to Adam Summers-Vine. 4 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. So technically undefeated there. Shame about the draw again, but it is WTC scoring, so, you know, that is what it is. And it was against Bridgehead, which is an incredibly hard matchup. So really, really, really well done to you there. Congratulations, mate. And it's cool to see Flyblown doing really well, so super hyped to see that. And bringing up the rear today, we've got Joe Loke. 5 wins, 0 losses, so he managed to get 2nd place overall. But once again, completely undefeated at the Exterminatus X Big Ben 10, a 71 player event. And he was rocking Plague Company. Let's go quick to burn it. So, we're rocking Mortarion, Typhus, and a very much more standard kind of build you'd expect this one. Biologist Putrefier, Sorcerer and Terminator armor, lot of Contagion, one squad of 10 Plague Marines with the usual hybrid loadout, so this is 2 Spewers, Blight Launchers, Plasma Guns, and then all the heavy Plague weapons you can take. One squad of Cultists, but he does actually then have 3 full squads of Death Shroud Terminator, so he has gone Terminator heavy, so it's the big 18 boys. 2 Fetid Bloat Drones with 1 with Spitters, 1 with Mowers, a Chaos Rhino, because you always need a Rhino to lug around your Plague Marines, 1 squad of Nurglings, and Rotigus bringing up the rear. Now, interesting thing to note, no Foul Blight Spawn. We have thought about this before. Is the Foul Blight Spawn necessary? It's so-so. You don't actually need him. I'd say the Biologist is more important. The Biologist adds so much damage to the squad. Like, I think he's quite important. The Foul Blight Spawn, if you don't... The Fight First is either really good or really not useful. Like, you come across Tau, it's kind of useless. You come across Blood Angels and stuff like that, it's really, really good. And he did come across 2 Blood Angels, so maybe he was wishing he had it. However, it does save 60 points off that squad, and the big problem with Plague Marines is, once they're all suited and booted, it's like near 300 point unit for Toughness 5 free up armor, which is not hard to kill, only 2 wounds a model. Hence why a lot of us have sort of moved over to these Death Shroud builds at the moment. Now, this combines both of those with the Death Shroud build and the 10 Plague Marines, but he does eschew and remove the Foul Blight Spawn in favour of just taking a Biologist, and I actually like this. I think it works, but you definitely have to understand this unit can't anchor a point as well in the melee matchup, but it still hits just as hard, so you can use it more aggressively in that Rhino, especially on the turn when the Terminators all come down, and you make that push, especially with Mortarion as well. Cracking the Rhino and getting the guys outside to kill them is less on your mind when there's 18 Death Shroud and Mortarion running you down. And this list also has Rotigus, so that's 2 Toughness 12 massive big boys. Rotigus having OC and movement with that really nice Flamer and that really nice damage 2 sweep or damage 4 bonk attack. So he's got some really nice high toughness durable units here. A lot of 4-up invulnerables, Mortarion's 4-up invulnerable, all the Death Shroud are 4-up invulnerables, Rotigus rocking a 4-up invulnerable, and even the Bloat Drones have 5-up invulnerable, which is pretty good. You've got the Sorcerer in Terminator armor in one of the 6-man squads, a lot of Contagion in one of the 6-man squads, and Typhus in one of the 6-man squads. So two of them are also really, really good in the melee matchup, so it kind of takes away the need for the Foul Blight Spawn, because you've got 2 big bricks, like Typhus is -1 to hit, the Sorcerer is -1 damage, and then obviously you can use the -1 damage stratagem on Typhus' squad, or the 3rd squad. The Lord of Contagion is probably like your hard-hitting, like absolute smash unit. So it's built really well, this list, so you can deal with a lot of things. You have a lot of scary output, you've got a lot of durability, you've got 2 big Toughness 12 problems for your opponents to deal with, but he still hasn't given up on the scoring. He's got 10 Cultists to sort of just hold home and chill out. You can always leave Nurglings back there after you've stuck it as well. You've got 2 Fetid Bloat Drones and the Rhino that can just run around and score things, so he doesn't really give up too much on the scoring front. Probably wishes he had like maybe 1 more unit, but again, points be points, there's not much you can always do. But it's a really cool, more balanced. It's not exactly balanced because it still requires 18 Death Shroud, but it's got a nod to the old playstyle of bringing the Plague Marines, and anyone that likes the Death Guard infantry of like the Plague Marines and the Death Shroud, and you want to play with the big boys with Rotigus and Mortarion. An excellently cool list, which is again different to the other 2 we're showing. I just want to point out again, Death Guard is so cool at the moment for the exact reason that we look at lists every week, and every time I do this, they're always different. Some share similarities, but I guarantee you, if we were a different faction right now, and we were doing these videos, you'd be bored, because the lists would all be the damn same. Like, Doomsday Ark, Silent King, another Doomsday Ark, and then you got, like, what, like, somewhere else, like a guard, like, Tank Commander, some Scions, yes. Whereas with us, it's like, we've got Ironstorm over there, we've got Flyblown host maximum zombie spam, and then we got this 18 Death Shroud Plague Marine build with Rotigus and Morty big bros. It's so cool, I love it so much. It's really cool to see Death Guard having such a varied ability to take lists and people do well. But again, it's because we always say the list is great and all these lists are great, but the play is the thing that's making it happen. So well done to you, Joe Loke. You went against Astra Militan Combined Regiment, a Salamander's Firestorm. Hell yeah, that's cool as fuck. Eldar with the battle host, and then finish the day 2 off with 2 Blood Angels. I would love that. Oh, 2 Blood Angels back to back on day 2. That is like a dream. But again, that's the win path. So well done, mate. But 2 what are they called? Liberator Assault Group. I always call them Lazarus Assault Group. I don't know why. Liberator Assault Group. So again, probably maybe wishes he had the fight first, but it didn't seem to mind. It didn't stop Joe. Joe went out and Joe swung and Joe smashed. So well done, mate. massive props, and congratulations to everyone on the list this week. And again, if you didn't make it on the list but you did get an excellent score, well done to you as well. I can only pick out so many to look at, but yeah, hopefully you guys look at this and see some really cool lists and maybe inspire you to try something new, whether that be Flyblown host, whether that be Plague Storm, or whether that may be putting a 10-man squad of Plague Marines without a foul Blightspawn in your list. So all really cool little techie things and cool list designs to go with. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Again, these are nice and short and sweet, just to show you, the viewers, some lists that are doing well, so you can, again, take the ideas, play around with them, build your own list, and see what works for you. But hopefully you did like it. If you do like it, feel free to remember to leave a like and a comment. It really helps us out. Subscribe if you are not, and consider becoming a Plague Marine if you want to get access to our Discord. It's £3 a month. It's like a coffee, if that. I try and keep it cheap. And you get access to our Discord, you get access to giveaways, you get access to Plagues, all the good stuff that we got going on. And yeah, it's a cool, really cool community we've built up of really helpful and friendly players as well. New players, old players, veterans, competitive players, narrative players, the whole bunch we've got, which is really, really cool to see. But thank you to those guys who already are members. If you are interested in picking up any models, check out our affiliate link below for Element Games. You get some crystals, we get some crystals, everybody wins. Check out our friends at Vanguard Tactics. They've got amazing coaching services, battle reports, lessons, all kinds of stuff, reviews, all the good stuff you want to see for 40k content. So go check those guys out, and then check out our friends at Sultai Games. They have an Etsy page in the link below. They're on holiday for a little bit at the moment, but they do make a set of Death Guard gaming aids which are themed for the Discussing Resilient podcast, which is awesome. But last but not least, thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Stay rotten, everybody, take care, and I'll see you soon. Ladies all.